Welcome everyone, Kelly from KB Auto Tech and Adventure. Today I got my 97 3rd Gen 4runner here, and we're going to do something very simple and basic. We're going to go ahead and we're going to remove the side step boards, running boards, whatever you want to call them. Go ahead, let's get going. Okay, so obviously we have this step board here, or running board. Just go ahead and see what kind of extra clearance. Let's go ahead and see what kind of extra clearance this is going to give us. Currently we have about, I don't know, 14 and a quarter, 14 and a half inches. If we remove this, we will end up with about 19 and a half inches of clearance. I mean, up to here. Obviously the body rail is going to be underneath there, so it won't give us quite that, but basically you want to get going on this. We're going to be setting the truck up for some future mods, and we're not going to need these. We're going to end up by putting up some sliders along here. Let's go ahead, quickly remove this. I'll show you how we can deal with some rust. I know obviously different parts of the country or world, whatever you want to call it, vehicles are going to have a different amount of rust. Some are going to be very easily, some are going to just, it's going to be a little bit of a pain. Let's get going. Let's have a look. Just underneath the truck, but you don't have to lift this up. You can easily just, roll under this or crawl underneath your truck when you're at home and simply do this. So let's go ahead. Let's just quickly look at the bolts here. This is the back wheel. So we're going to have two right there, two right up in there in the middle, and we got two right up in the front there as well. Quickly, just before we get going on that, for the tools that we're going to need, something very simple. Basically, we need either two wrenches or a ratchet and a wrench. 13 millimeter on either side is going to do you perfectly good. We need a wire brush, and we need some sort of penetrating fluid, whatever you like. Deep creep, doesn't really matter. Whatever brand you want to use, something. That being said, if your bolts are really rusty and you're just going to snap them off, just snap them off. Don't even bother. If you don't need them, you don't think they're going to come apart, just break them off, throw them away. You can always, if you're going to end up by reusing your running boards, you can always grab yourself some new bolts. It's really not a big deal. But for the sake of it, I'm going to show you how I am going to clean these up and get them removed. Okay, so we got those two bolts there. They look pretty clean already, and they would probably just come off. But if they're obviously a little bit rusty and not looking so good, let's go ahead and see what I would do. Number one, everyone always says, oh, hit it with some penetrating fluid. Yeah, that's great. Of course you want to do that. But more importantly, what you want to try and do is clean off the end of the threads. You want to try and clean out this area here. Usually there'll be some rust there or something like that. That's usually what ends up by binding in the threads and snapping the bolt. You want to make sure the end of it is clear. All right, it's looking pretty clean. Now, if yours look really bad and you want to soak them down, you can do that the night before. Maybe go ahead and hit them maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 times, whatever you think will help penetrate in there. But like I said, you can always just break them off as well. Now, I'm lucky enough, obviously I'm at the shop, I got air tools here. Not a prerequisite. You can just use a ratchet and a wrench, 2 wrenches, whatever you want to use. Go ahead, place the wrench on the back side here, like so. And it's gonna grab my gun. Blast that off. Simple as that. I'm going to repeat the process basically for all 6 of the bolts and go ahead and just remove these. So I'm going to make a small correction here on the front since I've never done this as well. This is basically the front one behind the front wheel. This is studded here, so that is a nut obviously, and if it was seized that may break off on the body. And this one here as well, this one is nutted, a welded nut on the back side here. The 2 front ones you want to be careful with. You don't want to break those 2 off for sure. That is definitely not a good thing. Wire brush them up and penetrating fluid, and make sure you try and get those free. Well, there we have it. A very small and simple step, you know, to getting a little bit of ground clearance, and obviously, you know, making way for some further modifications that we're going to be doing in the future. Anyways, stay tuned, like the video, consider subscribing to the channel, and hope to see you on the next one. Take care. Thanks so much.